Honduras' National Congress failed to elect the new Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General for the Public Ministry for the 2023-2028 term. And this Friday, September the 1st, marks the one-year anniversary of the assassination attempt against the Vice President of Argentina, Cristina Fernández de Kirchner. And the Southeastern Chinese provinces brace for the arrival of the super typhoon Saola as the authorities close non-essential services and cancel the flights. Hello from the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba. This is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. In Honduras, the different political forces could not reach consensus in the National Congress to elect the new Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General for the Public Ministry for the 2023-2028 term. In this context, the President of the Congress determined that the head of the Specialized Prosecutorial Unit Against Corruption Networks, Luis Javier Santos, would remain at the head of the Attorney General's office of the nation on a provisional basis. The term of office of the former prosecutors ended on August 31st, so the Congress was set to appoint new replacements. However, after a prolonged session, none of the candidates reached the qualified majority of 86 votes, required by law out of the 128 deputies. The provisional appointment will therefore remain in the position until the forces reach a consensus to vote the new head of the public ministry. In Ecuador, the National Police and the Armed Forces carried out control operations in the Cotopaxi prison within the framework of the state of emergency decreed in July. Around 1,800 police and military personnel took part in the operation with the objective of carrying out the control of arms, ammunition, explosives, and prohibited articles. Authorities pointed out that this will be the sixth operation carried out in the country's prisons to avoid violent actions. In the same line, they indicated that they continue working against crime and violence for the security of the population. And in this context, more than 20 penitentiary guides and 10 police officers were detained in the Turi prison or held hostage located in Cotopaxi. The information was released by the National Service of Integral Attention to Adults Deprived of Liberty and Adolescent Offenders, stating that in this prison, police officers and guides were intercepted by the inmates in retaliation for the operation carried out in the Cotopaxi prison. For their part, authorities indicated that the security forces are still deprived of liberty by the inmates. In Panama, the first round of debates of the National Assembly's Commerce Commission to discuss the approval of the concession contract between the state and Minera de Panamá, a subsidiary of the Canadian company First Quantum Minerals, ended on Thursday. The Commission has been in permanent session since Monday, August 28th, and more than 200 speakers have already participated, including social leaders, environmentalists, miners, and business persons. Next week, the discussion will move to the districts of Donoso and Omar Torrijos Herrera, both belonging to the province of Colón, where the mining project is proposed. Meanwhile, for next Tuesday, the Panama United People's Alliance has called for a rally in front of the National Assembly to reject the contract signed by the government and Minera de Panamá as illegal and a violation of sovereignty. In Colombia, the government and representatives of Central General Staff of the Revolutionary Armed Forces begin preparations for the peace talks. According to the Office of the High Commissioner for Peace, the meeting will take place in a rural area of Suárez in the department of Cauca, starting on Thursday until September the 3rd. This meeting will be held in the context of the preparation phase for the peace talks between both parties. According to the entity, the topics to be discussed will be agreed upon at the meeting and will be of a confidential nature, and they will also be accompanied by international witnesses, members of the Catholic Church, and the World Council of Churches. And during a dialogue with journalists this Thursday, the president of Bolivia, Luis Arce Catacora, gave his opinion on the proposal of the far-right candidate for the presidency of Argentina, Javier Milei, to dollarize the southern country. In this sense, Arce confirmed that the success of the Bolivian economic model was based on the reverting the dollarization process.
I remember when I used to go abroad as a Minister of Economy to explain the success of our economy policy and our economy model. They wondered why our economy was so successful. One of the elements of the success of our economy was to revert the process of dollarization towards Bolivianization, because this implies, from the point of view of economy policy, recovering a very valuable element such as monetary policy. When we are in a dollarized economy, there is no monetary.
And this Friday, September the 1st, marks the one-year anniversary of the assassination attempt against the Vice President of Argentina, Cristina Fernández de Kirchner. On the first anniversary of the moment when Fernando Sabag Montiel fired his gun a few centimeters away from Cristina Kirchner's face, social and political organizations and referents recall with concern the event. In this way, they claim that the numerous links between the known perpetrators of the attack and the far-right groups and the opposition leaders from Juntos por el Cambio, Together for Change, have not been thoroughly investigated. At the moment of the failed assassination attempt, a first for Argentina's recent history, both Patricia Bullrich and Javier Milei, current presidential candidates for the right and far-right political parties, failed to condemn the attack. Cristina Kirchner, Argentina's maximum political leader, denounced there is a mafia and a parallel state in full operation in the Southern Republic.
This is to explain the system that is working in Argentina and to put an end to the theorizing activity of the lawfare and the party. No, mafia and parallel state. That's what is happening in Argentina, and that is why today I've been condemned to 6 years in jail and perpetual disablement. This is the real sentence. This is what they wanted, perpetual disablement. They would be able to put me in prison December 10th. That is, as long as some businessman, another Caputo, does not think of financing any other gang of criminals, and before December 10, 2023, they shoot me. That is what they want, prison or death.
In a new episode of Venezuela on the Move, we travel now to Guarenas, a community east of Caracas, the Venezuelan capital, where a family found a new source of income and gut breeding during the stall brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. After that, what seemed to be a crazy adventure and temporal activity became their livelihood and motivation. Our colleagues Adriana Sibori and Jesus Romero went to their farm in the mountains and got their story for us. Let's see.
The workday begins at dawn. Every day, this couple makes these goats who they consider to be part of their family, from which they can obtain 300 liters of milk per season.
For me, they are women with 4 legs, because everything is the same. The breastfeeding process, the birthing process, everything.
Goat milk is the most similar to maternal milk. It has vitamins, less fat, and is more digestible. They sell their production, but they do not accept their sacrifice.
For us to give away an animal is hard. As a business, we have to give them away because we cannot overcrowd our barns. But it's difficult. We try to find people who take good care of animals, and we give them recommendations. They are not animals that can be grazed and fed. They are animals of high dairy genetics.
They used to sleep in the barns, but now they have installed cameras in the birthing area so they can control the goats when they are not there. This way, they can see what is happening on their device. Victor is their assistant.
My thing is to work. This way I earn more money, and I can provide for my family.
The goats walk daily through these hills. There are 75 of them, and they receive complete care, vaccines every 3 months, and strict sanitary control. These 25 little goats did not lack supervision or feeding bottles. They started with 2 goats to clean the land, and that turned to a passion and made them stay in the country.
First of all, it's the peace of mind that I have. My daughters are still small and they are still studying. This enterprise has helped me economically because my husband had a transportation company. But when the pandemic started, construction was paralyzed. And since we were at home, I told my family to come and help me with the work, and we all started to make the farm grow. This was a window to the future. People told me that I was crazy, and I told them that I would have a good herd. And well, here I am, producing.
In 6 years, this farm has managed to even produce French cheeses, which they sell to gastronomic establishments in the capital. Its next step is to become more technological.
And if you enjoyed this one, you can find more episodes of our series Venezuela on the Move in YouTube and other platforms. Let's take a short break now, but remember, you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find the news in different formats, news updates and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. A shooting at a shopping mall in the city of Austin in the United States left at least 2 dead and several wounded. The shooting occurred at a store in the Arboretum shopping mall. The authorities have not yet determined what might have caused this event. However, the police team informed that they have detained the suspect and they will continue to guard the area together with the Department of Public Safety of the state of Texas. On Thursday, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres confirmed his participation in the next summit of the G77 and China to be held in Havana on September 15th and 16th. In statements to the press, the head of the United Nations said that he will call on the meeting to use science and technology for good and to ensure that multilateralism benefits all countries. Guterres also said that the summit will serve to put the 2030 agenda goals back on track. He will arrive in the Cuban capital as a last stop after participating in the African Climate Summit to be held in Kenya, the Asian UN meeting to be held in Indonesia, and the G20 summit organized by India. The G77 in China, a negotiating bloc of developing countries, is chaired for the first time by Cuba with the aim of promoting Southern unity in the face of present and future challenges. And the Icelandic government has decided to resume hunting whales, although with stricter conditions. Iceland approves resumption of whaling and no to extend the temporary ban on this controversial activity. The Minister for Food, Agriculture and Fisheries, Svandís Svavarsdottir, confirmed the resumption of whaling as of Friday. However, there will be a number of new conditions in which hunters will have to adopt stricter requirements regarding the equipment used and the methods employed. They will also be subject to greater supervision. The start of the hunting season had been postponed due to a critical report on the compatibility of this practice with animal welfare laws, which triggered a heated debate on the issue in the country, one of the few where cetaceans are still commercially hunted. And now in other topics. On Friday, Southeastern Chinese provinces braced for the arrival of the super typhoon Saola as the authorities closed non-essential services and canceled flights. The emergency response level was raised to the highest level in Guangdong province, southern China, on Friday. As a result, trading on the Hong Kong stock market was suspended and more than 400 flights were canceled or delayed in the key hub for regional business and travel. In turn, mainland China's railway authorities ordered all trains in and out of Guangdong province to be suspended, and workers were asked to stay at home until the storm passes. And the Pope Francis arrived in Mongolia on Friday to support the country's small Catholic community and to promote inter-religious dialogue. It is the first time a Pope has visited the Asian country, which hosts one of the world's smallest and newest Catholic communities. The Pontiff plane was received by an escort of honor guards in traditional clothing. The schedule of the visit indicates that September the 2nd will be destined for institutional appointments during the morning with several authorities, including the President and the Prime Minister, and in the afternoon with bishops, priests, and missionaries. The Pope will also celebrate a Mass on September the 3rd and the Steppe Arena for believers living in Mongolia, the majority of whom live in capital. But he also will have the participation of 1,000 other believers from neighboring countries such as Russia, China, and Thailand. On Friday, the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs affirmed that the country is willing to improve its relationships with the Vatican. The statement comes after Pope Francis sent a note to Beijing with the aim of achieving a rapprochement between the parties.
China has taken note of the relevant reports. The Vatican's blessing showed friendship and goodwill in recent years. China has maintained communication with the Vatican. China is willing to continue the walk in the same direction as the Vatican, carry out constructive dialogue, enhance understanding, accumulate mutual trust, and promote the process of improving the relationship between the two sides.
And TeleSUR English launches its own videos on demand site for you to go and revisit our interviews, the top stories, the special broadcastings, and more. Just go to the top left corner in our website's homepage and click on the video option to access our VOD platform. And now we will have a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. In South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa visited the site of a deadly apartment block fire in which more than 70 people, including 12 children, were killed overnight. South African authorities said the 5-story building was used for illegal housing. An additional 61 people were injured and treated in a hospital in one of the deadliest fires worldwide in recent years. An official said that bodies were discovered piled up at a security gate that was closed, preventing people from escaping the blaze.
And early in the morning, I heard about this tragic event. We are very saddened as government about the passing of so many people here in Johannesburg. This is unprecedented. Johannesburg has never had an incident like this where so many people die as a result of fire in the center of the city. So this is tragic. We've got to go to the bottom of what caused this fire and also address from now on. It's a wake-up call for us to begin to address the situation of housing in the inner city. And we need to get on top of this and find effective ways of dealing with problems of accommodation, of housing, and services in the inner city.
In Chad, thousands of people fleeing the war in Sudan have crossed into national territory to find themselves in overcrowded camps, triggering a parallel humanitarian crisis. The war between the Sudanese army and the paramilitaries has forced 4.5 million people to flee their homes. Although most have remained in Sudanese territory, more than 1 million have fled to neighboring countries, and it is estimated that 400,000 people have arrived in Chad, 60,000 of them Syrian returnees. The coordinator of Doctors Without Borders in the Adre area, Susanna Borges, pointed out that the people are feeding their children with insects, herbs, and leaves. In addition, they have much less water than they need, and most of them had not been fed for more than 5 weeks.
Most of our parents suffer from malaria, eye infection, respiratory disease, and malnutrition. The field hospital where we work is very small, and we need to make the space a little bit bigger.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.